Okay, I'm back to make a video here about the Florida State-Alabama game. These matchups are getting me excited. I'm really just looking forward to the September 2nd game. And I did a video about the wide receivers last week. Today I'm going to do one about the defensive backs, and I'll probably do one about the coaching staff next. But let's just jump right into it. So last year's starting field corner for Florida State was Marquez White. But as many of you Florida State fans know, he left Florida State for the NFL. I mean, he graduated, and he's now with my Dallas Cowboys, so he's looking to make a spot there. So that leaves a vacant field corner spot open on the Florida State team this year, but not necessarily, as Florida State does return their starting boundary corner this year, Tavares McFadden. So if you just want to know the difference between boundary and field corner plays like the more open side of the field, while the boundary corner plays the shorter side of the field, closer to the hash mark, that's closest to the sideline, depending on the line of scrimmage. Some people classify the left and right cornerback. However way you want to understand it, there you go. But Tavares McFadden played the boundary corner last year, so he played more of the short side of the field. He tied for the nation's lead with interceptions, with eight interceptions. The guy's a ball hawk. It's amazing. He's 6'2", 198 pounds, a Nick Saban type defensive back, which makes sense because Jimbo Fisher learned under Nick Saban. So that'll be something interesting to see. A big body cornerback like that. An interesting question is, will he flip? Will they flip him to the field corner position, or will they keep him at boundary corner? That'll be that may be something that's already been decided. I don't know. He may have gotten work at both positions. We may see him at field this year. He may stay at boundary, and they may leave other guys to come in and fill the field corner position. I find that interesting. We'll see if that happens. Florida State fans, you can let me know if you know whether or not he's staying on the boundary or the field. Now, another returning corner that they have, it was a true freshman last year, but he's now a sophomore, Levante Taylor. He played a little bit last year, so expecting his development to take another step forward, and that he can come in and take one of the boundary or field corner positions, depending on Tavares McFadden. They're expecting a lot of things by him. A lot of people really think he has the skills to be a true cover corner. Thing is, he's a little bit different from McFadden. He's 5'10", so he's a bit smaller, but he can cover really well, apparently. They also have the true freshman, Stanford Samuels III. He's 6'2", 175 pounds, so another one of those big-bodied cornerbacks who they want to see probably get some playing time this year and provide some depth for the team. I'm going to revisit the actual corners, and I'm using corners specifically here for a reason. You'll see why as I get down later into the video. I'm going to revisit them at the end and talk about some depth here. But let's move on to the free safety. So, for sure, Derwin James is the starter at free safety. He's probably the best player that Florida State has in their secondary and probably overall on their team. He's 6'3", 211 pounds as a free safety. Can play all over the field. They use him at corner sometimes, linebacker, rushing. It's crazy all the things he can do. Saw some of that in the spring game. So for sure, Derwin James will be the starting free safety. They probably will have Cyrus Fagan working out behind him to kind of provide some depth and be the backup. He's 6'2", 182 pounds. Can move around a bit. So I believe he'll most likely back up Derwin James. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So, in my estimation, based on what I've learned about Florida State and based on what I've seen them play, or I also read and researched about how they do things, they have a ton of strong safety types, or even some guys who tween between nickelback, star, extra defensive back, and strong safety. They kind of have a few guys who can play that position. It's kind of really interesting how many names I'm about to name off here. So it's like Erman Lane, A.J. Westbrook, Trey Marshall, Marcus Lewis is gone, Kyle Myers, Carlos Becker, and of course Nate Andrews. Nate Andrews is like the senior old man. He's been here for a while. 6 feet, 214 pounds. He got injured last year in the Miami game. Now, he's been a starter for now. He's got a ton of experience, so they're expecting him. He got a medical exemption because, he got injured. So the medical exemption allows him to come back and play. I think this may be his, fifth or maybe sixth year with the program. So he got the medical exemption to come back. So I presume that he's going to be the starting strong safety. With that said, because they had so many injuries last year, including Derwin James getting injured in game two and Andrews getting injured in the Miami game, that allowed guys like Erman Lane, who actually started the last half of the season in the place of Andrews. Um, Erman Lane is a wide receiver who was converted to defensive back, who stepped in because he's 6'3", 209 pounds, very talented guy. A lot of people believe he has the good natural instincts to be a good safety. So he came in and he actually played solid for Florida State when they needed him. They showed promise. Also, though, they have A.J. Westbrook, who's 6 feet, 186 pounds. They have Carlos Becker, who played a little bit. Calvin Bruton played more than he did. But the interesting thing is that a lot of people don't seem to think he'll factor in this year. I think they believe that Carlos Becker is more talented than Bruton. So it'd be interesting to see how much Bruton plays. But I believe Calvin Bruton may actually be doing a bit more free safety work. We'll find out. And of course, uh, the other guys who played a little bit of safety, Trey Marshall kind of went back and forth between strong safety and that star extra back, nickel back type position. Now, I bring this all up because all of those names I just named, these guys all can't be on the field at the same time. Strong safety, nickelback, star, extra defensive back. They'll be fighting for a few positions here, but they have a ton of depth at the strong safety kind of nickelback position. But because of injuries, a lot of these guys got to play, and so a lot of these guys have experience, and so it'll be interesting to see who's going to step up. Like for example, Trey Marshall played. He shuffled between the safety and the star position last year. Extra defensive back and safety, because he got injured. He was injured in the North Carolina State game, um, and then they've had to bring in a true freshman, Kyle Myers, who's 6 feet, 168 pounds, who's a sophomore now, and he played that nickelback star position for Trey Marshall. Trey Marshall was now playing the star position instead of safety in that game. And so when Marshall got hurt, they had to bring in Myers. And Myers was actually in coverage on the fourth down incompletion that led to the Florida State victory that allowed them to get out of there with the 24-20 play. He actually had that covered up pretty well. So a talented guy. But I assume that Marshall and Myers will probably battle for the star, an extra DB position there. I don't believe Trey Marshall will be the starting strong safety this year. As I said, Nate Andrews will be. So if you look at the depth chart that I'm assuming is going to happen, they're going to have Derwin James at free safety. They're going to have Nate Andrews at strong safety. McFadden is going to man one corner spot, and Levante Taylor is going to man the other corner spot. So those are like the four basic secondary positions. Then you got to add in the nickel back. Then you got to add in the dime back. Then you got to add in the extra safety may come in. So when those packages come up, those guys will get in. But it'll be interesting to see who takes what position. Will Kyle Myers take the nickelback starter position? Will Trey Marshall take the nickelback starter position? And what about guys such as Carlos Becker and A.J. Westbrook and Erman Lane? How would they factor into the rotation and playing time? Either way, this is a good situation for Florida State as a team because they have many guys who can play. But it'll be interesting to see who plays and whether or not they can actually stay healthy. A lot of these guys got injured. So the question is, can these guys actually stay healthy? Was this injury just a one-time fluky, accidental season type thing, or do they all just get injured all the time? That will be interesting to keep your eyes on, and that's really going to play into what I'm about to talk about next. So as I said at the beginning, a lot of these guys here, those guys I just named, I'm going to go through their names again. Erman Lane, A.J. Westbrook, Trey Marshall, Kyle Myers, Carlos Becker, Nate Andrews, they all kind of fit the more strong safety, nickel back, extra defensive back type role thing, like star position and strong safety. In my estimation, based on what I've seen, Florida State only has about 3 true outside corners, which are Tavares McFadden, Levante Taylor, and Stanford Samuels III. Now, 3 outside corners meaning that you don't even have 4 who, can consistently, got starters and backups. Now, I'm pretty sure that Florida State's probably working out some of these other guys to get some outside corner experience. Probably having them play in most positions in the secondary to get them ready, just in case they're going to need them out there. But the thing is, it'll be interesting to see what would happen if McFadden or Taylor got hurt, because that would leave Stanford Samuels, the true freshman, at an outside corner spot. And then you need somebody else who's probably used to playing nickelback or strong safety, something like that, to go out and play the outside corner spot. That's something that can't be downplayed. Now, none of these guys are talented. They're probably playing multiple positions, so I'm pretty sure Florida State is working these guys out. But it would be interesting. I'm pretty sure they want to stay healthy. They want to see McFadden and Taylor stay healthy so that they don't have to figure out and experiment with who's going to play the corner spot if those guys get hurt. Like I said, a lot of these guys, they kind of got that tweener type thing, strong safety corner. You don't know how fast they are on the outside. It'll be interesting to see what would happen. So Florida State wants to stay healthy in their secondary. They have a lot of depth, I think, in the safety, nickel, extra defensive back positions, but not so much depth at the cornerback position. And I'm making a distinction there because I think it's important to do that, because these guys, their body types do factor into how they play. Some of you may not think that's as important, but Florida State fans, let me know. What do you think about your corners specifically? Not necessarily all your defensive backs as a whole, although I would love to hear that too. So leave some comments in the video. Let me know. Leave me some thoughts on who do you think will be some impact players. Who do you think will actually start at the extra defensive back positions, the nickel back, the star, dime back? Who do you think will be the cornerbacks on game day against Alabama? And, of course, Derwin James is going to be free safety. Do you believe Nate Andrews will man that strong safety position coming back from his medical exemption, if he can stay healthy, that is? So that's about it for this video. I'll probably be doing the coaching staff soon, so let me know what you think. Looking forward to it.